Hi everybody, my name is Trying Maiden, and this video is bigger, it's a little bit different, you know, I mean it's... What the... You let the dark side corrupt you.
It's more powerful than you can imagine.
Not as powerful as my balls. The classic Star Wars Battlefront duology. Let me talk about something real quick. Star Wars is easily the most recognizable franchise in existence. I mean, you walk up to any random person on the street and you just show them a picture of Chewbacca and you're like, oh yeah, that's Chewbacca. That's when you know you've made it. When people recognize your carpet character. Almost every person that I know grew up on Star Wars to some extent. I mean, if you didn't like it, then ostracization! I mean, how could you not have loved it? Not only was it a phenomenon for our parents' generation, but a lot of us grew up in a Silver Age where the movies were mostly mediocre and the Clone Wars reigned. But there's one thing that I experienced as a kid that I often see overlooked in many retrospectives on the internet. Video games. Every single Star Wars kid grew up on a video game of some sort. Ask any random person on the street, again, and 9 times out of 10 they'll say, I grew up on LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. Then you hug the Giga Chad and you go on your merry way. Many, like myself, long to play video games like The Force Unleashed. I, personally, actually really wanted to play Republic Commando, mostly because of that really sick commercial before Revenge of the Sith on DVD. But there's one game that I'm certain many people played the heck out of, or at the very least wanted to. Star Wars Battlefront. I mean, this duology is iconic. I mean, not only is the reboot probably the best Star Wars experience you can have, but the originals were technological marvels at the time. This was really the first time you could reenact battles from your favorite Star Wars movies as the soldiers themselves. And that was any Star Wars kid's dream. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Holy crap, I'm getting 3,000 frames! This game came out in 2004, and you can tell, first off, there's no sprinting. Just none. My gamer senses guide my pinky to the shift key, only to be disappointed by its uselessness. I remember this game being very easy, but when I booted it up for the first time, all I was met with was death around every corner. And it was like the devs just said, Welcome to hell, son. You thought a game about space wizards was gonna be easy? Well, you're dead wrong. This is real life. Then I set it to easy and it was a cakewalk. Honestly, a lot of the decisions that the devs made don't make sense. Like that name. Pandemic. Yeah, that aged well. Also, you kinda have to play in third person. Vehicles are almost uncontrollable, and it's a 90% chance that you're gonna get shot in the back when you die, so you either have to watch your mini-map like a hawk, or play in third person. Apart from that, they have this campaign. It's just the same maps as an instant action, except you fight Gungans and Tusken Raiders instead of rebels and clones. Considerably more boring! Also, the map choices are really weird. Almost every single map has 2 different variations, and they each offer vastly different experiences. And you can also play them in both eras, which is really cool. I mean, some maps like Yavin 4 even bring insights into the canon, which still stand today. But my only problem with the variations is that one of them almost always sucks. Bespin, play on Cloud City! Or on some boring-ass ship platforms. Play on Kashyyyk with the sprawling, occupied docks, or in some abandoned houses on an island. Naboo! Play in the capital city of Theed, or in the Windows background. Some of these variations make sense, like Mos Eisley on Tatooine and the Dune Sea. I mean, these are both recognizable locations, so it makes sense that you'd want to play there. But Tatooine isn't just unique in the fact that it has 2 good variations. It also has a third one. Jabba's Palace. I was surprised to see this map, because it's a PC exclusive. I mean, I only ever really played on the Xbox 360, so a brand new, never-before-seen map was really cool, honestly. Everyone's favorite part in the movie! You know, When Luke is confronting Jabba the Hutt right before he gets thrown into the Rancor pit, and a battalion of rebels and stormtroopers come in and start shooting the place up. Best scene. Of course, all of these maps are recognizable. You know, Geonosis, Hoth, Endor, Ren... Var? What is Ren Var?
Okay, people, we need new maps for the new Star Wars game, alright? Hit me with them, come on. Tatooine? Great, attracting fans of the older movies. It's what we need, that's what we need. Let me write that down. Alright, hey, you, what do you got? Come on, get it. Kashyyyk. I don't technically know what that is, because this is before Revenge of the Sith, but I'm in it. Alright, let me write it down. Jimmy! Oh, you always get the best ones, Jimmy. Come on. Hit me with something good. Come on. Ren... Var? Wow. Wow. Phenomenal. Hey, give this guy a promotion!
Ren Var? Like, this is the only time this is ever mentioned in any Star Wars content. Ever. I'd assume this is original, but why? I mean, the Wikipedia page for this planet says this exact same thing. It first appeared in this game in, like, a book. It makes no sense. Is it cool? Kinda. I mean, it's Hoth, but with a city.
I mean, what more could you want? Jedi? Jedi? You want Jedi? look at this idiot.
Even so, if this is a fully original idea, I gotta commend the devs. They came up with a Star Wars planet that you can actually experience. And it's pretty freaking fun, too. It's better than the desert planet that I created as a kid. You know, the one that suspiciously looked like the desert around Las Vegas while I was also coincidentally living out in Vegas. Another huge problem with the game is that vehicles are easily exploitable. In the Geonosis map, mainly. The AI can't really shoot up, so if you get in a gunship, you're poised to win. Even with one trooper left, that being you will most likely win. Every time. And on any snow map as the Empire, you will almost definitely win if you're in the AT-AT. It's not AT-AT, we aren't talking about golf. And if exploitable features and weird map choices weren't enough, the classes are also very imbalanced. The only classes that work in the game are Assault and Sniper. Every other class sucks.
Not only this, but the Sniper class also only works on rare occasions. I mean, some maps, like the docks on Kashyyyk, favor them. But if you choose to play as the Sniper on, like, Naboo or something, then you're in for a world of hurt or a sea of disappointment.
Okay, this all seems very negative, but truthfully, I love this game. I mean, not only did it unlock a heaping helping of nostalgia, but it's also pretty dang fun, too. I mean, this is the first game where you could really reenact scenes from the movies. Star Wars games up to this point were story-based, and 9 times out of 10, they were from the perspective of a Jedi. This is really one of the first of its kind. Well, that's it. A game that I've loved for my entire life. Talked about. That was a silly thing for me to say. I thought that this was over, and I was ready to retire to my quarters in silence. That's when she walked into my office.
So, darling, we finally meet. Funny. I expected more from you. No grand entrance, thunderous applause. No. You're here for me. You've come to rub it in, haven't you? You always were the one who got away.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 was the literal holy grail to me as a kid. I played countless hours of Battlefront 1, and my only desire was to play the sequel. And when I finally got it for free on my Xbox One, I was ecstatic to find out that it was basically the exact same game. This game is just as good as the last one. You thought I was gonna say that it was better, huh? I think, overall, this game is an improvement over the last one.
I mean, you can play as Jedi, and you can play as Sith, and you could do space battle! But despite these really cool features, this game has a lot of problems, and sometimes they're worse than the last one. But on the bright side, some of the issues from the last game are fixed.
The classes aren't majorly imbalanced. Each one has its own style and requires some level of experience to use. The Explosives Trooper still sucks, though. Not only this, but there's also a point system, just like in the reboot, meaning that the more that you play in a certain match, the more troops you'll be able to play as. But this solution comes with a trade-off. You see, it's almost like on certain maps, certain factions are meant to win. So I played on Polis Massa as the Republic, and the Separatists won. Then I played as a Separatist once, and I won the round. Now this could just be RNG, but it was way easier to play as the Separatists than it was as the Republic. I was met with significantly less resistance. The same thing happens on Hoth. I mean, I played as the Empire, and I kid you not, I won within 5 minutes. Hoth was my favorite map in the last game, not only because it's from my favorite Star Wars movie, but also because of its relative challenge. I remember fighting off hordes of rebels in this bunker before you go into the tight maze of tunnels. But in this game, you capture the bunker and you go straight to the hangar, with practically no resistance. The map problem is back again, coming out of the side of the ring in a comeback match, but it's in a totally different form. It is so obvious that they were trying to bank on Revenge of the Sith hype.
Polis Massa, Mygito, or however you say it, Mosquito, and Felucia were all planets that absolutely nobody had heard of at that point. Probably because they have a collective 4 minutes and 6 seconds of screen time in the movie. 2 minutes of which, count them, 2 minutes of which are taken up by Padme's birth scene. I mean, these things aren't necessarily a problem on their own, but I think it would make a lot more sense and it would work a lot better if these were additions rather than replacements.
People knew Kashyyyk and Mustafar, maybe they knew Utapau, and they definitely knew all of the other 10 to 15 minute planets in that movie. But why these? One thing that I do like, though, is that the maps that were ported here from the older game are just the same maps, but totally reworked. Kashyyyk still has the beach, but it's more accurate to the movie. The Civil War maps are pretty much exactly the same, though. I mean, I didn't expect them to build everything up from scratch again.
I mean, that would be silly of me. Just like me saying that they should decanonize the sequels.
The space battles are hard to control, but that's probably just a me thing. The real hurdle is landing. It is almost a certainty that you'll crash multiple times while trying to land in the enemy's hangar. But, on the positive side, this game has a campaign. Way better than the last one. It's called the 501st Journal. Its story is interesting, and I'd actually really like to finish it sometime. But my only gripe is that they got Tamura Morrison, you know, this guy right here, that guy, yeah? They got him to narrate the campaign. But none of the clones have his voice.
When we arrived at the bombed-out ruins of Mygito, our Jedi commander believed we had been sent to take out a droid energy collector.
They're all American! Where's the New Zealand accent that we know and love? He voiced the clones in the last one. What's so different about this one? Literally, poured over the same lines. Why did you not utilize Tamura Morrison? Whew. Okay. The Jedi on Sith fights are actually really good. It's a nice proto-version of the heroes versus villains mode in Battlefront 2, just with some less recognizable heroes. And blue tentacle head full auto corpse lady is there.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
Now, of course, it's not a Star Wars Battlefront game without the instant action mode. I mean, this is a classic.
Whoa! There are way more options this time. I mean, for this game to come out literally 13 months after the last one, it's pretty dang impressive. Map-wise, the selection is way better. I mean, there's just one extra ground assault map, but there's also 6 space battle maps here as well to add more variety. The gameplay in this game is kinda the same as the last one, but it also has that same problem where you kinda have to play in third person. But instead of it being a necessity given to the ease at which you can die from behind, so that you can look at the awesome variants of clones that you get. Also, the maps are much more atmospheric in this game. Even though they're largely unrecognizable to most non-Star Wars fans, the tight corridors of Polis Massa and the lava-ridden facilities of Mustafar are a great improvement over many of the maps in the last game. Looking at you, Windows background! All of what made the last game great is present in this game. And even though this game has some problems of its own, the new features that it adds in really makes it about equal with the other two, making both of them equally valid experiences.
Okay, this review has probably come across as mostly negative, but in truth, I love these games. I mean, you got immersive battles, you got cult classic planets, and honestly, the possibilities are endless. I mean, on paper, these games are largely the exact same, but in execution, they are farther apart than any game I've ever seen. I mean, I guess it's just all up to the person behind the screen, holding the controller.
And then the reboot destroyed these two.